What is this? California? Jeezy peasy. Those are the apprentices. He likes to surf. He likes to shred the gnar, as it were. As it were. Whoa! See, you're refilling the poorly designed Brita water filter.
Right, because it's way low right here, so you lose all that.
Yes. And then because you always end up filling it, and then it splooges down the handle, and then it ends up there. Isn't that nice? That's brilliant design work.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I'd love to meet the guy who designed that. Clearly, he is not a knife maker.
Clearly.
Gosh. Goodness gracious.
God.
So it's Sunday. The apprentice and I made some videos yesterday, but they were too stupid. These are premiums. They're basically done. They are waiting for being sent over to laser engraving. Jeezy peasy. So we get logos engraved, and then they'll be finally assembled. They'll be sharpened. They'll get some thumb studs, and then bada bing. Bye. Fly, my children. Fly free. Yeah. And there's more that we were working on. But yeah, isn't that cool? It's just super. Babe. Not everybody is as good at designing things as I am, okay? Oh, wait. How much did you get down in there? Jeezy peasy. You notice the apprentice and I are sporting the same hairdo? Nice, right? It's getting warm here in sunny San Diego. Getting warm. So let's see. There's some that are about to get work done to them. A couple that I was working on before we made videos. That one doesn't lock. This is a lefty. Nice. Doesn't have a D10 in it yet. Nor is that notched out. But it will be shortly. The apprentice has been profiling and chamfering like a champ.
Yeah.
What number is that?
17.
Working on 17. Nice. Yeah. Boom. Ready. So this is like attempt number 3 for this video.
Yeah.
We keep going over the storage capacity of the GoPro.
We keep going over.
Well, you're the one that's always in frame, so it's your fault.
Oh.
Yes. Yours.
Yes.
Not mine. Not because I ramble. Whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're doing right now. No.
Anyway.
We should be discussing important things. So.
What did you want to discuss first?
I can't even remember what the hell we were talking about.
Okay, so we went into the mid-tech custom production definition debate.
Semantics. Because I have a unique perspective. Because of what I consider a custom knife. Because I make a completely handmade and designed with the client's custom knife. So it's not even like a one-off. It's a completely hitherto unmade knife.
One of a kind.
One of a kind.
Purely one of a kind.
Purely one of a kind. So, bearing that in mind, my definition of custom is skewed toward the mega custom category. Completely 100% custom. It's not like I have a bunch of models that you get to choose from. No. It's not like that. It is complete uniqueness. I'm not saying that I take umbrage with anyone who does like a model, calls it a custom knife, and then has options available for altering things on that model. Not at all. It's a very intelligent way to make knives. You get a bunch of parts water jetted out, and then from there you create custom knives out of them. I see no problem with that. Nor do I see a problem in calling them custom. Because, by the definition of custom, I'm big on definitions. I have a degree in English. By the definition of custom, it is in fact custom. The end user has input in the design and craftsmanship of that knife. So it is therefore custom. Now, where we get dicey talking about semantics is when we talk about the term mid-tech. You've heard this term, yes, apprentice?
Yes.
Not just from my mouth.
No.
No. And so, do you know?
Mid-tech is an industry term.
Do you know who coined this term?
I believe that would be Mr. Ken Onion.
Yes.
And because he realized he could not make enough knives fast enough, so he had the bright idea, wait a minute, why don't I start making the pieces utilizing the water jet and the CNC and these various mechanized processes to speed it up, and the rest of it I will do by hand. So it is still, so it's kind of half technology based, half human made, hence mid-tech. So, and by that definition,
It's a very eloquent description, Mr. Christopher Robin.
thank you.
You're still smart.
You know, I did also graduate from college.
It's true, you did. So, when I originally released the Pretium concept, design, and made a prototype for it, I said it's going to be a mid-tech. Thinking that everyone else used the definition of the term as defined by the guy who coined it. Because that's the way it works in the English world. You get to make a word and define it, and everybody sticks to the definition of the word. There's fluctuations, undulations within the meaning and connotation of the word over time, that is for sure. There are words that are negatively connotated now that when they were originally coined or came up with or translated from a different language into English, they actually had a positive connotation. Like, what's one?
Hold on. Stay on target.
Prudish. Prudish has sort of this negative connotated term, like prudish. You're so prudish, right? You're such a prude, right? That has this like sort of dig to it, right? Like you're such a prude, like it's a bad thing.
Yes.
When it was originally made, that was actually a good term. It was a virtue to be prudish when that term came into use. So connotations fluctuate over the years, but the definition still remains the same. I thought that was the case with mid-tech, but apparently I was wrong. Because what's happened in the knife industry, and I don't have a problem with this at all, it's just homeboys making money, it's just business, baby, is that guys that used to be doing mid-tech, they scaled up their operation. And then they built a facility around their mid-tech designs so that they can make them faster, more effectively, and more of them. So, the offenders of this, and I use that term not connotated negatively, the offenders of this would specifically be Chris Reeve, Rick Hinder, and the Strider boys, Nick and Dwayne, because they make what is actually a production knife, and it still is circulated as a mid-tech. That's what people have in their minds, that it's a mid-tech knife.
So did the Strider, Hinder, Reeves, do they call it a mid-tech? Or
They
is it-
do not, as a matter of
it's
fact.
just, here's the knife.
In fact,
Strider knife, here it is.
on Chris Reeve's website, he actually says it's a production knife. It's a very high-end, very high-precision production knife. And he did a video showing us the inner workings of the Chris Reeve Knife Factory. And it is a production facility. It's huge. It's massive. They have many millions of dollars worth of machines. And they produce many, many thousands of knives a year. And they make many millions of dollars. Because they're a production company. Nice knives. I'm not saying anything about the knives. I'm just saying that they are, in fact, a production knife. So, there are still people who maybe aren't aware of that who still refer to them as a mid-tech, and it's not a mid-tech, it's a production knife. Can you get customized stuff on your Chris Reeve knife? Yes. You can. For shizzle. But it is a Sebenza. The Sebenza part of it's not going to change. The Insingo part of it's not going to change. It's still going to be that knife. Chris Reeve ain't going to make you a knife with a different kind of blade on it and and with a funky handle to it or anything like that. Hinderer. Hinderer makes XM18s and XM24s. Do they change it up, make funky different grinds sometimes, and it gets called a custom Hinderer? Yes, of course they do. Why wouldn't they? And they charge more money for it. I don't know if they do. I know that secondary market does.
There's a custom one.
Well, we all know there's no custom one. And Strider is the exact same way. Right? All the parts for an SMF or an SMG or SJ 75, they're all made on water jet. They're all cut out. I actually know people who do it here in San Diego. Make parts for Strider. And then they go back to the Strider facility and they are final machined. Very much similar to what I do with Pretiums. And they do different things sometimes. So they change it up a little bit. And as long as a knife does not bear the Mick Strider Custom or the Dwayne Dwyer Custom label on it, guess what? Dwayne and Mick didn't touch those knives. Those were assembled by somebody else. Those were all made via machine processes. Boom. Hence, it's not really a mid-tech, is it?
Having a thought.
You're having a thought. He's having a thought.
I will disagree with you.
Please do.
Because by the definition of mid-tech,
You gotta speak up.
parts machined separately. Right? You have your blanks cut out, water jetted, ECNC.
You're missing the handwork of the maker, the person whose name is on the knife. That's the part you're missing.
Okay. That's where.
So a Ken Onion mid-tech means Ken Onion still ground that blade. Ken Onion still did stuff to that knife.
No.
He touched it. He had parts of the manufacturing process in his hands. That's the distinction that I think is fairly critical.
So if it had the guy that assembled the knife, his name on it, then it would be mid-tech. If it wasn't being sold under the Strider name.
Well, then you run the risk of talking about, let's say, well, shoot, Medford. So Greg Medford doesn't grind every single knife. He's got a couple of guys that he's trained, and they grind the majority of the knife blades. Greg tries to get in and grind as much as he can, but like me, he runs a company. And that's very hard to do when you run a larger company, right? And make no mistake about it, Medford Knives is not small anymore, right? I mean, you've seen video of the new shop that they're making. It's not a shop, it's a factory. New factory they're making. He's growing up real quick. Real quick. I mean, they're going to be in that same category as Hinderer and Strider and Chris Reed very, very soon. Probably within the next year or two, in terms of their revenue. And probably their production capability. I mean, that was the whole goal of making a new factory, was to increase their productivity because there was demand. I mean, Medford was having to tell, I mean, he says it right there in videos. He's having to tell dealers, that want to buy, $50,000 worth of knives. I'm sorry, you're gonna have to wait a year. I mean,
It's a nice spot to be.
it's a nice problem to have, right?
Yeah, I'd love to do that for you. Next.
Next. But so that's where I would draw the line of distinction between like the mid-tech and wars of production. I mean, because there are knives that are made. A company like Bark River. There's another example. They have a bunch of guys that work in. There are 2 Bark River facilities actually.
I've seen the videos of their facility.
Yeah, and so it's not.
Big ass grinders.
It's not the guys that are the CEO guys and president guys of the company that are grinding those knives now. They're just the face men of the company, which is eventually what happens in all companies. As you grow and you're the CEO, you eventually get removed from the shop itself. Happens because you gotta run business. And at the end of the day, eventually you find out. I'm waiting for this day to happen to me. No. Eventually you find out that your time is more valuable being the CEO and running the company than it is in here doing processes that you can train someone else to do. Because your dollar value per hour is significantly more than, let's see, your dollar value per hour, which currently is 0. But I love you and appreciate your hard work. One day, he's going to be my CFO. Because he has a degree in economics.
I have a business card.
He does. I made a business
It's
card.
funny. I have a business card for a job that I don't get paid for. Not for the one I do get paid for.
It's because you know who loves you, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah. One day. One day. Hey, you know, we're going to get there pretty quick, dude. We're maybe 3 months away from being able to hire you. I'm not joking.
Really?
I know you know how to do math. $450 knife times 100. You can do that math, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you know the time frame it's taken to do them.
Which is much longer than I would prefer.
It's longer than I would prefer as well, but you know what? You gotta do what you gotta do, and you gotta make a good knife.
Sure.
Can't rush it.
As your production manager. That's going to change.
And the
quality will not. The speed at which we get them out will.
but what's it gonna involve? It's gonna involve more mechanization, isn't it? It's just the way it's gotta be.
It's going to involve taking as much as possible out of our hands.
It has to be done via a CNC, right? That machine should be running 24/7. Maybe not 24/7, but it should be running every day.
Whenever we're in here, it should be going.
It should be going. It should be doing something, right? And so when we start looking at the, like a 300 hour runtime to make lock bar inserts, I mean, like, it should be doing that. I shouldn't be hand shaping lock bar inserts. Those need to be made by CNC. My one glaring mistake. And you know what? I might rectify that very, very quickly.
If we can get the profiling worked out.
I think I can. I really think I can. And I'll talk to my water jet guy as well and see if they
We
can.
can eliminate this step. Shape them. You think it'll be that precise that you eliminate that step? Just go straight to the chamfer.
Well, other guys are doing it. They're getting their Tormax to do it, so I don't see why I can't. Things were weird with this run, and I actually think my CNC.
We're at 1720.
Okay, my CAD file for this is a tiny bit off. I mean, you can just look at it and see that I'm a tiny bit off on stuff. And so what I think it is that every time you copy, so to design this in CAD, you're going to get an education here today. To design this scale in CAD, right? Basically, what I did is I took the lock scale, which has the majority of the design work to it, because I have to, have the lock bar cut, exact, so that I'm not hitting my bearing pockets or anything like that. So that's the part that takes calculation and actual consideration. And then basically all I did to create the face scale is that I copied it, flipped it, and then boom. But when you do that, right, and I already had the whole pattern for the fixture plate laid out, based on the hole pattern on the scales. Every time you do that, you end up duplicating the hole. And so those holes never align when you line it back up in CAD. They never completely align 110%. They're always off a teeny little bit. I mean, it's very, very tiny, but it ends up
just that little CH.
a little tiny bit makes it where you align the scales after you, let's say you profile them completely, right? And basically I was being very conservative in my profile cuts on these, and you can see that all it did was take off the slight bit that was angled and left, well, you've started grinding this one. No, you haven't. And like on this one, like it didn't even touch it. It touched it at one spot.
Let me start grinding that one?
That's right.
So no, video time.
Video time. So I'm not completely sure if that is something that I care to fix, because this process is actually fairly quick. And truth be told, the amount of time it takes to run the profiling on them, right, that's an hour and a half of time on a CNC versus what it takes to do this by hand. I think it's actually faster to do it by hand. Bolt it together and grind it all out flush.
That's part of the things we're going to figure out. Is what's going to be faster, runtime versus...
Process optimization, yes. 110%.
Oh, you should tell me about the letter you wrote to America.
Oh, no. We shouldn't go there.
That was part of the Too Stupid video.
Because we were talking about 4th of July, and I was like, Christopher Robin, that's his middle name. Christopher Robin, what'd you do for the 4th of July to celebrate your independence? And he was like, what did you do? He didn't tell me anything.
drank and sat at the pool like an American.
He drank and sat at the pool like an American. I said, that's funny. You know what I did? I wrote a letter to America. And I thanked America for being a home of patriots and heroes. Protecting my independence from sea to shining sea. And I noted how your alabaster cities gleam through amber waves of grain. America.
Yeah. Imagine something like that for half an hour on a video.
Yeah, it was basically that kind of stupidity. That's why it's not going on YouTube.
In fact, they have been deleted entirely.
Did we explain this whole semantics issue well? Did I cover it?
Pretty sure we
We
covered
talked about mid-techs, about production, how I think the line between mid-tech and production is blurred because knives Strider started out as true mid-techs. I mean, it was Dwayne and it was Mick, and they were there in the shop together, and they'd have the parts in, and they'd assemble them and grind them and stuff by hand. And they still do that. I said doo-doo again.
I was not going to say it.
And they still do that for their custom Striders. But yeah, your standard run-of-the-mill SNG, your Lego, that's a production then. Are you ripping apart my chair?
No.
That is high quality shit, man. That is classic stuff there. Your grandmother probably made that.
Yes, you did.
What a jabroni. I can't take you anywhere, dude.
You don't have to take me anywhere.
True. But anyway, like I was saying. Jabroni. I mean, it's basically economic. It's all economics. That's what it comes down to. If you want to make real money as a knife maker, you have to find a way to make more knives. I talked with Hoback about this, because Hoback's got like 300 orders on his books right now. And he's like, how am I supposed to make 300 knives in a year? I mean, even doing what he does, which is, well, I think he's actually machining out, he's CNCing them all out. He doesn't want waterjet anymore. His waterjet guy lost his blades. Yeah. I was like, ooh, that sucks, dude. Because when it's just like one, that's not a big deal. That's only a couple bucks. But when it's like 20, that hurts. Because it's not just the steel that you're losing, it's also the cost of waterjet that you just lost. And let me tell you, guess what costs more? Waterjet. It costs more to have the blades waterjetted out than the actual amount of steel cost. I mean, it's the way it is.
So it's a tiny little piece.
I tell people all the time, the material cost of the knife is not really what you're paying for. You're paying for the machine time. You're paying for my time. You're paying for time. It's time. It's all time, baby.
I know. We've had this conversation.
Yeah. Well, we had this conversation all the time because
We have to think about these kinds of things.
all the time. You got it? You got it good? He was just adjusting his Hoback rolling detent.
Probably go more.
But that knife has been through so much that I don't know if it's got like 3 different detent holes in it because it's had like 3 different detents. So
Because it originally had the standard ball detent.
it had a ball detent in the beginning.
The first.
Then it had the first incarnation of rolling detent that I used, and then now it has the good one. So yeah, it's had a lot of detents, and I think each one got a separate hole. No,
No.
we used the same hole from the old rolling detent, so it only has 2 different holes in it.
So that one.
And of course, you just not like a dimple. No, you went all the way through the fucking blade.
Well, we had to get it. It was easier just to go through the blade to get everything lined up. We had this conversation.
It's true. Sometimes it is easier.
And you only can see it when the blade isn't in that position.
Yeah.
Which it never is.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah.
Where are we at?
It's all about 24 minutes. We're good.
Okay.
It's all about economics, really. That's what the whole distinction arises from. It's about the economical realities of building a knife at certain levels of hand involvement.
But at the end of the day, a quality knife is a quality knife.
And then this is the ultimate thing, and a lot of people are coming to this conclusion: if it's a good knife, it's a good knife. Who cares what the hell it's called? And my shining example of this, and a lot of people's, is the Spyderco Southern Flipper.
You love that knife.
It's a really fantastic knife. $250. It's a great knife. Yes, it's an import. It's from Taiwan. Yeah, it's made there. But it's good materials, good construction. Great knife. I'd buy it. I'd pay more than $250 for it. It feels like one of my customs. I'm just saying. I can't talk anymore because I'm going to start talking about other makers and I'm going to say things about the knives. They're my opinions, not facts, and we should
Shut it down.
Okay, bye YouTube.
Bye, YouTube.